People who were adults during Y2k, what was the most radical action someone you know did to prepare for the apocalypse? I worked for a newspaper. We basically did everything twice the day before, and we were prepared to essentially typeset and prep the newspaper manually if the shit hit the fan, so we could get info out. It sounds simple, but it was a ridiculous amount of work to prepare for. I was in it at the time and spent 36 hours at work, from midday on the 31st of Dec to around midday on the 2nd. The first big market to go over were NZ, and then it was Eastern Australia. Because we did reporting and reconciliation for a multinational, we had to wait until every country in the world had gone past the Y2k mark and everything added up correctly. I did a lot of spinning and weaving at the time, just for fun. In about August of '99, Polly showed up at our weekly gathering. She bought $1,000+ of spinning and carding equipment from a dealer in the group. Bought half a dozen sheep from Susan. Comes time to deliver the sheep, Susan drives them out there, finds out that Polly just moved to this country house with her kids and husband a month ago, and doesn't have any fences up, so doesn't actually have a place to put the sheep. They work it out with a neighbor to put them in an unused paddock until fences can go up. Polly keeps coming to our weekly spin-in, but she won't listen to any teaching or advice. She's read all about spinning, so she knows how. Keep in mind, spinning is like riding a bike. You can read all you want, but it's not going to teach your muscles the needed coordination. After a couple months, she finally condescends to take a bit of our instruction and starts getting the hang of things and starts opening up. Turns out Polly has bought this fenceless hobby farm for Y2k, and she fully expects to be making all their own clothes. The teenage kids are going to card all the wool, and she's going to spin and weave everything. We politely roll our eyes, privately calculating how many years our closets full of clothes will last us before we have to wear handspun. Come December, we stop holding meetings, because January rolls around, Y2k having come and gone, and none of us ever lay eyes on her again. I've always wondered what she did and where she went. One of my co-workers quit his job on New Year's Eve. He was like, civilization is going to collapse, so why bother? I was like, maybe just wait until the 1st, see what happens, just in case you still have a job. And he was like, nope. It was a pretty good job too. Retail, but lots of opportunity for advancement, profit sharing, good benefits. The rare retail job that people turn into a legit career. Though I quit 6 months later. But not because I was planning for an apocalypse. Just because I was 20 and dumb. Worth noting, this guy was in his late 20s, like really probably old enough to know better. I grew up in England, and all I remember from my late teens on this issue is that most people seem to laugh about it and not take it seriously at all, which is quite reflective of my general recollection of growing up in England. I went to a sleepover at a friend's house and we just sat outside and waited for it while eating toast. When nothing happened, we went to bed. The most interesting nugget I do remember about some crackpot millennium panic was the former Argentina and Real Mallorca goalkeeper Carlos Roa, who abruptly quit his career because he was convinced the world was going to end. As far as I remember, he just dropped off the map and went to live in the mountains somewhere in South America. When it didn't end in Armageddon, he scuttled back out to his team, but his career didn't quite hit the same heights. His story is interesting, and you can look it up. Oh shit, have I got a winner? In like 98, my best friend's dad moved the family to a 60-acre farm like 90 minutes away from her hometown. They lived in a trailer on this farm, while he and her older brother basically built this underground house into a hill. Wound up being a nice house, but teeny tiny, like 800 square feet for all 6 of them to cram into. He also had a separate bunker with like 6 months of canned food, and they had outhouses and generators, and were just ready af for all the nuclear weapons to shoot off for Y2k. Best part, he took out thousands of dollars in gold coins, split it up, and put it in sacks, and then buried the sacks all around the farm. So Y2k comes and goes, the world survives. When he goes to dig up his gold, the bags have started disintegrating, and the gold had fallen out. so he had to claw through the dirt to get his gold and wound up missing a couple $1,000 worth of coin somewhere out there I think. Edit. Thanks for the gold, anonymous redditor. First time I hear. This sparks much joy. I wasn't an adult, but I remember as a young kid going to our cultish church with all the fellow members in preparation for what they thought was a possible rapture event about to happen. Everyone was bawling, saying goodbye and shit, we'll see you at the pearly gates son etc. I believe the next day was a Sunday, the normal church service day. I wasn't old enough to notice this, but I imagine it was quite the awkward moment when everyone showed up, alive and unraptured. I was college aged back then. A friend of mine dropped out of school his parents were paying for B/C. What's the point? Y2k is happening. The day came and went. He was out of school. Parents were pissed and no longer wanted to pay his way. Haven't been back to that area as years, but last time I went, he was the manager of a roller skating rink. Not too extreme. My mom bought quite a bit of large bottles of water and a lot of plastic wrap and duct tape. It was like she was preparing for a hurricane. We live in a valley in California, and she worked for a computer tech company. I'd figure if anyone wouldn't fall for that shit it would be her. I've learned over the years that she is paranoid about stupid shit for no goddamned reason. We lived in the mountains, and in the last couple of years before Y2k several pepper families moved into our neighborhood. We are talking ammunition bunkers, panic rooms and cellars full of food. After nothing happened lots of them ended up giving away barrels of food because it turns out they didn't want to eat rice and beans for every meal if there wasn't actually going to be an apocalypse. We ate for free for years. Which of these stories did you like the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you liked this video click on some other ones gosh darn it. Kappa kappa.